Vesk was quiet now. Too quiet for a moon where peace was supposed to be signed. Captain Elira Voss hovered just above the surface on her exothrusters, descending through torn clouds of ash and orbital debris. Her armor was old black Lance Tech, military issue, custom patched with scorch marks and serrated plates, as if daring the enemy to aim for them again. The landing site came into view, the Grand Accord Hall, once polished chrome and white banners. Now it was a cratered carcass. Twisted steel ribs jutted from the ground like bones. Voss to command. I've landed. Proceeding on foot. No reply. Just a hiss of static. That was fine. She didn't come here expecting support. She came with a weapon in her chest cavity, a lie in her throat, and a ghost in her ears. The hall's entrance was sealed with rusted panels and blast-scorched peace emblems. Elira holstered her rifle long enough to draw her monoblade and carved a wedge through the hull. The sound echoed, too sharp, too crisp in the dead air. Inside, the lights still flickered, as if remembering their job. Her boots crunched on bloodied glass and scorched treaty parchments. And then came the first whisper. "Elira, you're back." She froze. The voice was Juno's, her diplomatic escort officer. "You shouldn't be here. You promised you'd leave us." Elira didn't speak. She just clenched her jaw and kept walking. Her visor pinged faint movement. 5 meters left. A figure. No thermal trace. Not alive. It looked like Juno. Same face. Same calm blue eyes. Same smile. Only, her jaw was fractured. Hanging wrong. "I forgive you," the not Juno whispered. "We all do. Come sit. The meeting's still in session." Elira raised her rifle and fired. The not Juno shattered like a projection made of glass and memories. "Not today," she muttered. "Not again." She passed the memorial fountain, now dry and full of bones. Her HUD lit up. The signal source was below. Archive Room 9. The last archive, the raw, unedited footage of the peace treaty betrayal. If she could recover it, she could prove what really happened. That the aliens never came to talk peace. They came to harvest trust, strip it from the minds of every attending human diplomat. Her entire team had died screaming. Except her. Because she hid. The elevator was still functional. It dropped with a lurching screech into the dark. As she descended, the shadows grew, aware. Figures moved behind the glass. Some were screaming. Some were whispering. All of them wore the faces of her comrades. "Why didn't you stop them? Why did you live? They opened their arms, and you pulled the trigger." She shut off audio feed. It didn't help. The voices were coming from inside her own mind now. Archive Room 9. A spherical vault carved into the moon's core, once the most secure diplomatic data center in the quadrant. Now desecrated. But something still pulsed at its center, a single orb of white light, wrapped in floating data threads. The archive. She stepped forward. And the choir spoke. Not aloud. In her thoughts. "You never asked why we lured you here. You assumed we wanted surrender. But it was never about taking your lives. It was about learning your voices." The walls lit up. Dozens of her team stood frozen in hollow projections, moments before death, eyes wide, mouths open. "Your pain became our language. Your panic became our code. And now we sing in every voice you left behind." Elira drew the archive into her chest-mounted vault drive. The moment it connected, her HUD overloaded. White light exploded through her visor. And then she saw it again. That day. The treaty table. Her team gathered around it. Laughing. Relaxed. Unarmed. Juno smiled at her across the table. "We're finally going to sleep tonight, Voss. No more war." Then the screaming started. From the walls. From the vents. Alien shadows poured in, wearing human skin. Speaking in their voices. One by one, her team was torn apart. And she pulled the corpse over her body, and lay still while they died. The memory faded. Elira dropped to one knee. She was shaking. Blood dripped from her nose. The choir's voices converged. We will use you next. You are the most believable voice of all. The survivor. The martyr. The human who lived. She stood. And smiled. Then you haven't learned a damn thing about us. She armed the fail-safe nuke in her armor core. You think survival makes me weak? It made me prepared. She set the timer for 20 minutes. Just enough time to upload the archive into a deep space broadcast buoy and send it galaxy-wide. Then she walked into the dark halls again. Elira Voss moved like a ghost through the corridors. But the ghosts moved too. They whispered in every direction, from the vents, from behind shattered walls, from glowing shards of treaty banners now twisted like war trophies. This way, Captain. The archive belongs to us now. Tell them peace is real. Tell them they were wrong. She ignored them. The archive pulse in her chest was hot now, unstable, like the choir knew it had been activated and was reacting. She had 20 minutes to reach the broadcast bay, buried deep beneath the hall's old communications wing. If she didn't make it, the truth would never leave this moon. She passed through the Hall of Silent Voices, a domed chamber lined with statues of diplomats from every Alliance world. Human. Centauri. Tresh. Vark. They once stood as symbols of hope. Now, they were hollowed out, their faces warped and mouths open in an eternal scream. Something had sculpted them from the inside. Her boots echoed in the silence. Until one statue, a human, turned its head toward her. Slowly. Elira, it croaked in Juno's voice. You made it out. Why come back? She aimed her rifle, but the statue didn't move further. Its eyes oozed black fluid. You came armed, but it's your words we want now. She fired. Stone and bone shattered. The others screamed as if feeling the pain. She ran. The corridor twisted unnaturally as she moved, as if the structure had begun to breathe. Steel panels pulsed in rhythm with a heartbeat she couldn't hear, but felt. She dropped into a vertical shaft, once an elevator, now a tunnel of writhing cables and whispering vents. On the way down, the light died. The HUD on her visor flickered. Her squad interface activated, long since disabled. Names lit up. LT Juno Morrow, online. Dr. Elias Kern, online. Commander Thatch Vryn, online. Private Lou Katai, online. They were all dead. She tried to shut it off. Couldn't. A voice came through. Elira, you left us. She didn't respond. The shaft ended with a thud, a hatch that opened on its own. She stepped into the memory atrium. It was once used to project holographic replays of diplomatic breakthroughs. Now it replayed something else. She was in the room again, the treaty table, but frozen, standing outside her own body. The others laughed. Toasted. Shook hands. Then one by one they turned to her. The real her. Elira, Juno said. You said we were safe. You said they were listening. You said we were done fighting. You lied. The projections shifted into monstrous forms, mockeries of her team. Elira stepped back, rifle raised. You're not them. You're the choir. And I'm done listening. But the choir only smiled, wearing Juno's face. No. You're not done. You're beginning. The room darkened. Everything disappeared. Even gravity. She floated. The void around her pulsed with voices, a million of them. Every word she ever said in the war. Every command she gave. Every mistake. They looped endlessly. Hold the flank. We're pulling out, now. I left her, there was no choice. A final voice cut through. This is Elira Voss of Unice Black Lance. If anyone finds this, we were betrayed. The last log she recorded. The one she never sent. The choir had it now. They were broadcasting her failure to herself. Her neural stabilizers started to fry. She screamed. Clutched her head. The visor cracked. Blood from her nose again. And then, a hand grabbed her shoulder. But not to hurt. To ground? She opened her eyes. It was a projection, faint blue, of herself. But clean. Untouched. From before the betrayal. It stared into her eyes. Get up, it said. You're not here to feel sorry. You're here to end it. Her boots slammed back onto the ground. Light flared. She was outside the broadcast tower. The hallucination was over, for now. Only 9 minutes left. She pulled a syringe from her belt and injected it into her neck, neural hardener. The pain vanished. The voices dulled. She slammed her palm against the blast door. It didn't open. From the panel, the choir spoke one last time. Why send the truth, Elira? Why ruin hope? Let them believe peace was real. She looked at the panel. Then leaned in close and whispered. Because peace never came. But we did. She activated her override. The door exploded open. The broadcast tower was silent. Too silent. Elira Voss stepped into the main hall, rifle lowered but heartbeat elevated. Her armor's inner systems pinged, 8 minutes left on the core nuke inside her chest. The archive pulsed against her ribcage like a second heart. The room was circular, lined with consoles, crystalline projectors, and cables that had once carried peace across light years. Now they pulsed with rot, veins of thought ink, twitching with stolen voices. The choir was here. And it had been waiting. She reached the broadcast terminal. Still operational. Somehow. Just a single command left. Upload, last archive _peace _betrayal footage, y/n. Elira hovered her gloved hand over the interface. Then a voice said, Don't do it. She froze. It was her own voice. She turned. Another Elira stood behind her, perfect copy, but clean, unscarred, untouched by war. They don't need to see this. The false Elira said softly. You'll be remembered as the traitor who shattered the illusion. You're not real. Elira muttered. Neither is peace. The choir answered, now fully wearing her face. But we both know illusions are stronger than truth. More forms stepped into the room. Her squad. Her friends. Her dead. Juno, eyes kind but wrong. Thatch, arms wide like he wanted to hug her. Even Kitai, the kid, barely 19 when he died screaming in that hallway. Why not come back to us, Elira? Juno asked gently. We'll forgive you. You won't be alone anymore. It doesn't have to end in fire. Thatch added. It can end in silence. You're tired, Kitai whispered. Aren't you tired? She was. God, she was tired. Her knees buckled. The weight of the archive was too much. The betrayal, the guilt, the truth. We weren't supposed to win, she whispered. No, the choir said through her own face. You were supposed to believe. So we fed you hope. Until it turned to faith. Until we could devour it. The false Elira knelt beside her. Let us take it. The archive. The burden. We'll carry it into silence. And what happens then? She asked through gritted teeth. Then they forget. The galaxy moves on. They build new myths. Elira looked up. Eyes burned with something ancient. Not faith. Not fury. Resolve. You underestimated one thing. What? We don't build myths. She stood, drove her combat knife through the fake Elira's throat. We break them. The illusion shattered. The room screamed, all voices overlapping. The choir's true form emerged. A tower of flesh, memory, and sound, constantly shifting faces. Some smiling. Some begging. Some hissing. You are nothing! It roared. You were meant to carry the lie, not end it! Elira backed to the console. The upload was 95% complete. You don't get to rewrite the end, she said. You'll kill yourself with that blast. It hissed. Good. They'll forget you. But they'll remember the truth. The choir lunged. Its voice warped into 1,000 screams, all from people she'd once known. It reached into her mind, showed her visions of her death, alone, forgotten. She kept her eyes on the screen. 99%. Blood ran from her nose, ears, and eyes. 100%. She slammed the send command. The archive launched into the stars. Locked. Protected. Immutable. The choir screamed. We were peace. We were mercy. You were a trap. She growled, eyes locked with its shifting core. And humans don't walk into traps without setting their own. She tapped her chest. Nuke core, detonation in 15 seconds. The choir's tendrils recoiled. It tried to scatter into whispers. But it was too late. She smiled. Tell them I died telling the truth. The room went white. Black box report, drone survey 7 days later. Signal confirms that Captain Elira Voss detonated her core nuke after completing a galaxy-wide broadcast containing unedited footage of the peace treaty massacre. She is presumed dead. The choir's signal collapsed instantly. No further transmissions from Vesk. The archive has gone viral. And humanity is no longer alone in its rage. Final scene. Somewhere in a galactic council chamber, silence fills the room as diplomats replay the footage. Gasps. Horror. Fury. Then, a voice rises. Human. Clear. Recorded from that moon in her final moments. They came offering peace. But peace is earned. We came armed, with the truth. My name is Captain Elira Voss. Her voice echoed across every frequency, every relay, every outpost aligned with the Galactic Treaty Accords. Her final transmission, torn from blood and betrayal, pierced the stars. This is not a call for war. This is a warning. They never wanted peace. They wanted witnesses. The archive played. Everywhere. In orbit, dozens of ships picked up the signal. Commanders from the Vark Dominion, the Zentari delegates, even the elusive Scouts swarm, all watched as grainy footage revealed their own diplomats' complicity or ignorance. Screams echoed in the background. The moment the humans were torn apart at the treaty table. Their blood smeared across alien parchment. Their voices twisted into a choir of lies. And standing at the edge of it all, Elira, watching from the shadows, frozen by betrayal and survival instinct. I lived, her voice said bitter. But I didn't survive. Not really. Back on Vesk, beneath the ruins, the fire had come and gone. The choir was gone. Scattered into silence by the detonation of her core nuke. Elira Voss was gone too. What remained was legacy. And that was enough. 1 year later, human outer colony, Ferox 7. The sky was quiet. The soil was dark and rich. Atop a silver pedestal near the colony's new embassy, a statue stood. Not of a politician. Not of a soldier. But of a woman with a scarred face and a cracked chest plate, one hand raised in defiance, the other holding a fragment of the treaty banner, burned. Inscribed below. Elira Voss. She signed no peace. But gave us a future. Children stood beneath it, listening to a teacher recite her final message. Old soldiers passed it with fists to their hearts. And above, the stars stayed quiet. Inside the Galactic Assembly, High Council chambers. Chaos. Demands. Questions. The archive had appended centuries of diplomatic illusion. The Tresh Assembly called for immediate severance from the Vesk Accord. The Zentari claimed their envoy had been compromised. But the humans? They didn't ask for war. They simply prepared. Admiral Sotanyan, representative of Earth's new Outer Defense Corps, stood before the gathered species. Calm. Tactical. Eyes full of iron. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't raise a weapon. He simply played a clip. We came armed, Elira had said. Not with bombs. Not with guns. But with the truth. That's heavier than steel. The room fell silent. We will not seek vengeance, Nyan said. But we will never sign blindly again. You taught us fear. We repaid you with fire. Final entry, AI construct, echo residual. A flicker. In deep code. Somewhere on a forgotten relay satellite. A pulse of static. Then, a whisper. Elira! A voice not fully dead. A face forming in static. The choir was broken, but not erased. What was born in betrayal cannot be unmade, only remembered. Galactic Year 9022. Humanity no longer speaks of peace as an assumption. Now they speak of it as a choice. One earned with memory, and paid for in blood. And in every classroom, every embassy, every outer colony, a single message is etched in both Terran and trade glyph. They tried to silence us with a treaty. We answered with the truth. Final scene. A drifting beacon orbits the edge of an uncharted system. Inside, it plays on loop. Elira's final words. Her eyes fierce. Her voice unwavering. If you're hearing this, and you still believe in peace, good. Just remember to bring armor.